through, feel like the formalities there. We're going to get straight into it. So we're in the third week of our 4-week series on Strapped on Finances. And I think just leaving my notes for a sec, just to say, I don't know what you sort of think of this. You know, it feels a little bit like a money management seminar or something. But, I'm getting as much feedback, if not more, for this series than I have in a long time. Email form, people coming up and talking to me, saying all sorts of things, but saying things like, man, I can see a way forward now. There is hope in our family. We're excited. One email I got this week talked about we're excited about our future for the first time in a long time. I think we separate money. We think money is somehow some unspiritual topic, and we only talk about the spiritual things. And certainly I get some of the differences, but man, money and how we treat it can bind us up. And this can have real release to us as a church and as individuals if we grab a hold of it. So I really hope that you are traveling well with the series. Third week, one more week, and then we're done next week. I was actually reading just yesterday in the newspapers. It talked about how Australians are living paycheck to paycheck. 1 in 3 of us. And if that's 1 in 3 of us, it'll include this auditorium here. Just people living paycheck to paycheck. And what was interesting about this report is it wasn't, you might think, oh right, it's people that are maybe on unemployment benefits or a single mum. No, these are people, it talked about it, that are on $80,000 a year or $100,000 a year, still just living from paycheck to paycheck. And the truth is, it's not always about how much you have coming in, it's really about how you use what God has given you. And that's what we're talking about, and certainly been a discovery for Jess and I, just how much of a difference it can make when you start to get these principles right. So if you missed the last couple of weeks, go back and check out the Catalyst website. You can grab the resources tab. You can also check us out on YouTube, Catalyst Church. But I would encourage that, because 1 week leads into the next, leads into the next. So today might be a bit practical, but I'm telling you, every single week leads on from the last week. Really important you do that. The first week we learn as Christians we don't serve money, we serve God, and money serves us as we serve God. Last week we particularly talked about debt. Debt is a killer, and in every way possible we want to avoid debt in all of its forms. We talked about the debt snowball as a way to get out of debt, a great message to have a listen to. But today I want to talk about saving and investing money. There's basically 2 types of people in the world. If you divided us all up, maybe it's 50-50, I'm not really sure. But there's those that like to save money, just hold on to it, don't spend it easy. And those that are a whole lot easier, and you just like to spend money, you're a lot easier with that. Maybe you've got the spiritual gift of spending or something like that. I'm interested, quick straw poll, how many of you here would say, I'm a saver? Just put your hand up. It's easy for me to save. I don't spend a whole lot of money. That's actually not as many as I thought. So put your hand up if you're a spender. You spend money quite easily. Now what happens quite often is savers often marry spenders. Have you ever noticed that? So 1, 2, you two balance each other out. That's just the way it happens. What I thought we might do is all the spenders would have a story, maybe the savers do too. Just turn to the person next to you for a second and talk about one time, doesn't have to be the most, but just a time that you've done or bought something impulsively, all right? So something that you bought impulsively, might have just been a Chupa Chup recently, right through to a car, I don't know. But talk to the person next to you for a sec. Okay, impulsive buying. Have we got anybody brave enough to yell out a few of the impulsive buys? Because I'm about to divulge one of ours, okay? Just so we're all on the same page. Give me some. A trip to Florida. That's impulsive. I think that might be coming from another week's message, all right? Because we can get you good accommodation. See, that's why you got to come every week if you weren't here. What else? A what? A cat fountain. Wow, then they're both pointing at each other. Don't you love that? All right, a cat fountain. That is weird. All right, I think everyone's a little bit shy here this morning. I'm going to go with ours. I'm not kidding you, not recently. I did get Jess's permission. And I did notice too, Jess, that you put your hand up for saving, which I found interesting. Because my wife, I kid you not, bought a imaginary skipping rope. Did you hear that? She paid $20 for an imaginary skipping rope. Now, how it works now, well, it does have the ends, all right? Everyone is like, this is serious. She bought the ends, but it doesn't have the rope in the middle, all right? It's an exercise thing. And you can sort of do, like you do all the tricks and stuff like that, but it doesn't have a rope. And I said, how's the imaginary skipping rope going? And she said, yeah, the $8 version probably works just as good. Because with the $8 version, you have to jump. Do you want to see it work? Like, this is it. It's amazing. Do you want to see some tricks? There you go. Did you see that? I can do it with my eyes closed and hopping on one leg. It's amazing. That's what we bought at our house. Is that true, Jess? It's totally true. Jess is begging for she's telling me it's electronic and it has batteries, but it doesn't have a rope, does it? All right, there you go. We have had a laugh about that one in our house. All right, so these are the things where we're spenders or savers. We see things and we grab a hold of them. Maybe you're a bit like that. We're going to talk about what Scripture has to say about saving, and I do want to defend my wife. She actually is a pretty good saver most of the time. Proverbs 6, verse 6 to 8. Let's go to the Word of God. It says, Solomon, and he's almost being a bit of a smart aleck, you know, in the way he's talking here, I think. He says, go the ant, you sluggard. You know, it's pretty pointed from Solomon here. If he was an Aussie, he might say, go the ant, you bludger or something. Look at the ant, that tiny little creature, and consider its ways and be wise. The ant, it's got no commander, it's got no one in charge of it, but it knows what its job is to do, and that is to grab stuff and save it up. If you're having a barbie, we've all had this before, and a little piece of steak or something falls on the floor, the ant is like, awesome, you know, and it gets its mates, picks up that bit of steak, and it takes it away, and it saves it up. And that's all that Solomon is doing there, is saying, have a look at how somebody has understood a principle that matters. Proverbs 21:20 says, in the house of the wise are stores of choice food and oil, but a foolish man devours all that he has. A modern translation again might be, a foolish man lives paycheck to paycheck. Again, it's a bit biting there. And by the way, I just want to say, I understand there's all sorts of people here, all sorts of walks of life, all sorts of difficulties. You know, we're not having a go at anybody, maybe single mums or people on a pension or however it works. I really understand that. You know, for some people it's incredible that you're living paycheck to paycheck. You're doing a great job doing that. But for many of us, I want to challenge us, it's not good enough that we're doing that. For many of us, it's not because of have to, it's because we're there, perhaps because we've been foolish with the way that we're spending our money. So what we want to talk about today is the fact that we save our money. It's so important that we save. Now on the seats, you should have got a little handout. You can grab that now. Make sure you grab a pencil as well. We have had a box of pencils floating around. I'm not sure if there's somebody organised to hand that out, but if there is, Beck's going to walk around the back with the pencils, and you just give her a wave. She'll walk around and grab a pencil off her if you need one. Here's what you write down. There's 3 things that we're going to save for. We're going to save for emergencies. Number 1, write that down. We'll save for purchases. Number 2, and we'll save for the future. We're going to touch on all of these in case you missed that, went too quickly, but emergencies, purchases, and the future. So what are emergencies? What are emergencies? Emergencies are not iPhone 5, all right? All right, I'm sorry to say, that's not an emergency. You know, I've got to have the new iPhone. This is an emergency. Your plumbing is going to break, right? That's an emergency. Your car is going to break down. If you have a toddler, he or she may eat your wedding ring, okay? That is an emergency, and you have to take them, and you have to get private x-rays, because it's the wrong time or whatever it is, and the doctor says you've got to take a few days off work, all right, and you have to watch their poo for a few days, okay, and see if that ring comes out, okay, and then you may want to buy a new wedding ring because of where that ring has been, okay. That's an emergency, and in case you're thinking that's not possible, it's possible. It has happened, not in our family, but in our little family close to us. The family's name starts with J and ends with S, okay? So it is possible. Those are emergencies, these crazy things that come left of center that attack us. These things are emergencies, and these are things that you've got to save for. The second thing you need to save for is purchases. All right, if you want a new couch, we don't charge it to the credit card. We save up for it. Jess and I talked about that last week or the week before, the fact that we always are saying to new couples, sit on boxes, sit on plastic chairs if you need to in your house, but don't let debt overcome you. Save up for these things first and then have the pleasure of going out and spending that money. Save up for that thing is so important. Just on credit card, by the way, we've got a Q&A session next week. We're going to look at all sorts of topics, and we're going to be asking for your questions. But one question is, should we have a credit card or should we not? There are different views on this. Some people say, cut them up. In fact, a lot of books now say cut them up. It's a really good thing to do. I had somebody write to me this week and said, they call it plastic surgery. I thought it was a good way of putting it, and they cut up their credit cards and it's made a difference. The golden rule, just to be really obvious, is that we pay our credit card off in full every single month. If you can't do that, then you're basically paying for it on credit. Okay, so we're saving for things. We save for the new suit, the couch, the kitchen table, the car. We're not going into debt, but we use cash to do that. And then we save for the future. Here's number 3. What does that mean for you? For us, where we're at, we're seriously having conversations at the moment. We're saving for school fees that we know are coming. Jess and I worked it all out. We'll be spending, I think it's more than $100,000 just on school fees in the life of our children. So we're beginning now to save for that for the future. Another thing that we're working on is crooked teeth. Who would have thought it, huh? We've got crooked teeth in our family, so we're beginning to say, right, we have to put money aside for the crooked teeth in our family and work that out. So you've got to save for things. Maybe you need to begin to save for your retirement. By the way, I've mentioned this before, but Dave Ramsey's got a great book here, Total Money Makeover. He answers questions like this, even how much should we be putting aside? So in Australia at the moment, we put aside 9.25% for super, but he talks about adding to that. That's not quite enough to put aside, and answers a lot of those very practical questions. I want to recommend that. But we want to save for retirement. Otherwise, you can be in trouble when you're older. All of these things are true. The problem is many of us today, though, aren't doing that. We don't know how to prioritize our dollars. And there's needs and there wants, and we're basically buying sort of what we want ahead of the things that we need. I said it last week, and I'll just say it again, a huge thanks to lifechurch.tv. I think their website is on in the US, have been a real blessing to us in this series and done a lot of the hard work behind the scenes. Right now we're going to watch a clip from Craig Groeschel. He's their senior pastor, and he just talks about this in a really cool way. He talks about how we can prioritize the money that we have coming in.
So here's what we're going to do. We're actually going to prioritize our dollars. How does that work? Well, each month we have a certain amount of money to live off of, and we're going to give a priority to each dollar that comes in. Guess what? It's payday, and you just got paid $100. As a Christian, we believe that the first 10% of what God gives us goes back to God through the church. So if you're taking notes, our first priority is the tithe. The first 10% of $100 goes back to God through the church. That's the first priority. Our second priority, if you're taking notes, is our expenses. You have to eat, you have to sleep somewhere, but guess what? Our living expenses have been, a little higher than they should be because we're spending money on some things that we shouldn't. buy. Unfortunately, we've been living paycheck to paycheck, and our remaining $90 has been going into the expense budget. But here's the good news. You've embraced the value of sacrifice. We're going to give up something we love for something we love even more. You've embraced the value of self-control. We're going to say no for a little while so we can say yes for the rest of our lives. We've embraced the value of planning. We're going to have a budget. We're telling every dollar where to go. And with our new values, because we've been aggressive, maybe we sold a car and got a less expensive one. Maybe you stopped drinking expensive caffeinated drinks. Maybe you stopped eating out. And after your aggressive planning, you've managed to cut your expenses $20 a month. And guess what we're going to do with the extra $20? This is going to go to the priority of the emergency fund. Remember last week we talked about putting aside $1,000. We're going to work our buns off to set this money aside for emergency, so our extra $20 goes to the emergency fund. Now, here's some more good news. You've been tithing, and God blessed you. You got to babysit this month, and you got an extra $10 for babysitting. You also sold something on eBay, and you got $20. So we tithe from our income. This goes to God, and that gives us an extra $29 to put toward our emergency fund. And guess what? Before long, it's payday again, and the cycle continues. Not only did you get $100 for your normal job, but an extra $10 again for babysitting, and your rich uncle died and left you $20, totaling $130 this month. The priority, the first 10%, goes to God through the tithe. Then we put the next $70 toward our expenses. And guess what? We've got $47 to go toward our emergency fund, and in no time at all, you'll have your $1,000 emergency fund fully funded, and you've accomplished the first priority. Congratulations, time to celebrate, and now your priorities changed. Instead of trying to put money to the emergency fund, now we have a new bucket, and we call it, if you're taking notes, the debt bucket. Here's how it works. It's payday again. And what are you going to do? You're going to tithe, and you're going to pay your expenses. And everything that you have left, everything you can earn and scratch together, now goes toward debt. You remember last week we talked about the debt snowball. We're going to get aggressive and pay down debt every single month. What do? We get paid, we tithe, we put money toward our expenses, and then we put everything toward the debt snowball. And here's the great news. If you don't give up, if you hang in there, if you watch for the blessings of God and put it all toward your debt, you will become debt-free, except for the house. And again, it's time to celebrate, not with a shopping trip to Neiman Marcus, but go to a movie and buy popcorn and overpriced candy. Why? Because you are now debt-free, and the priorities change once again. Now the priority is not debt, but instead you've got a new bucket, and this bucket is called invest or build wealth. And this is what happens. You've been faithful to God with the tithe, and God has blessed you with a raise. Your new income is now $130 a month. Congratulations, you've been blessed. What do? The first 10% goes to God in the tithe. Then the priorities actually rotate. We give to God first, and then second, we invest for our future. How do we invest? We actually take 15% of our income and put it into a pre-tax retirement account. That's about $20. We give to God first, and then we invest, and then we pay our expenses. And what is this? We've got lots and lots of money left over. What can we do? We can give an offering. We can give to someone who's in need. We can help feed hungry children. We can invest more. And you can even get your nails done with little polka dots on it, ladies, for other women, because we know you don't do it for men. You do it for each other. What do we have? If we're faithful with what God gives us, He will trust us with more. We're going to give up something we love for something we love even more. We're going to say no for a little while so we can say yes for the rest of our lives. And if we'll live like no one else, one day we can give like no one else. Because if we're faithful with a little, God will trust us with a lot.
It's always good, isn't it? Why don't you just take a moment, turn to the person you're with, and have a chat about that. See whether you think that's as easy as it sounds. Is it harder than it sounds? Could you find that spare money? Just have a talk about it. Oftentimes the person you're with is the person that helps the budget with you. So have a chat. Okay, makes for some interesting conversation. Perhaps you want to continue that on. When you get home, whatever we do, we don't want to sort of hear stuff and then do nothing with it. Make sure you're talking about it, you're taking it further. That's really important. I heard a bit of the conversation in the front row here. It was about imaginary skipping ropes, to be really honest. So that's... Oh, it does work, yes. All right. So we can do it. You know, I love what he said. If we're faithful, it's in the Bible. If we're faithful with a little, God will trust us with a lot. You see that principle. That's how we start to save and invest. Let's talk for a few minutes now about investing. Basically, there's two ways to invest. You can write this down. To invest, one way is, basically there's two ways. Write this down. One way is people making money. I think that's on your notes there, people making money. And the other way is money making money. Let's talk about the first one. Everyone knows that people can make money. The Bible says in 2 Thessalonians 3:10, if a man does not work, he shall not eat. And let's not skip over that verse too quick. It's pretty serious. It means that we've got to work for our income. We can't be lazy. You work and you get paid. But there's a second way to make money, and oftentimes a lot of people don't realize that. Again, we talked last week about interest and how crippling it can be. We talked about paying off that debt, getting rid of that interest, otherwise that interest snowballs on top of you. But it can actually work the other way around. You can make interest work for you. Your money can make money. Jesus told a parable that illustrates this beautifully in Matthew 25. He says that a master gave 5 talents to one guy, and he gives 2 talents to another, and he gives 1 talent to another guy. And then he goes away, and we know that the guy with 1 talent does nothing with the money that he has. He basically buries the talent, and nothing happens with that. But what do we find out with the other guy, the one who had 5 talents? It says this: the man who received 5 talents went at once and put his money to work. Matthew 25:16. He invested it wisely, and the Bible says then he gained 5 more. He doubled his money. He invested his money. He put it to work. There's 2 ways to make money. You can work for money, or you can have money work for you. The good news is money works 365 days of the year. It doesn't ever sleep. And I want to be a great investor, and I've made it a bit of my mission to try and understand investment a little bit. And if you're anything like me and you want to invest, there's 3 great rules to investing that we want to cover here this morning. And believe it or not, these are from the Bible. The Bible has great things to say about the way we steward our money. We've talked about this. The topic of money is one of the most talked about topics in the whole of the Bible. Here's the first rule for investing. Simply this: don't invest in things you don't understand. Such a great rule of investing. Don't invest in things you don't understand. Proverbs 24, verse 3 and 4 says, by wisdom a house is built, and through understanding it is established. Through knowledge its rooms are filled with rare and beautiful treasures. Do you hear all of that? All full of wisdom and understanding, this house gets built. Not through lack of knowledge, but wisdom and understanding. Now, for some of you, again, you haven't been investing long, or you want to begin investing, the temptation can be, man, just to grab the very first thing I see, the very first thing somebody says to me, that's what I'm going to do. Can I say, be careful of that. Be careful of grabbing just that first piece of advice, that first thing that you hear to invest in. One example for me, I happened to, just by almost chance, spend some time with a guy a while back that I didn't know, I hadn't met, and but we were sort of, I guess, in the same room together for a certain period of time. And I got to talking to this guy. We sort of had to be together, and we were just talking about things, and I started working out that he's quite a wealthy guy. In fact, this guy was a millionaire. And so I got talking to him and worked out that he drove a nice car, very successful guy, seemingly had everything sort of right going for him. And we were just talking, just conversation was going on. I don't know if you've ever had this happen, but he dropped a stock tip to me. It wasn't that long ago. And he said, listen, you've got to get into this stock. It's fantastic. It's the way to go. And he started talking about why he thought it was the way to go and why it was the best thing since sliced bread. And I remember I came home to Jess and I mentioned this stock, and it was a real wrestle. You know, this seems like a real possibility, but I knew nothing about this stock. But what do I do with this tip? This guy's a wealthy guy. What do I do with it? Do I invest in it? Is this something that God is trying to tell me? What do I do? Well, we just simply decided at this point we wouldn't do anything. We wouldn't invest in that stock. We just decided not to do that. And you know what? I'm glad for that, because I've watched that stock over many, many months. And you know what? It's now 30% less than what it was when he said to buy into it. 30%, it's gone down. I would have lost my money. Now, is that saying a stock tip can never work? Is it saying that guy is a foolish guy? No, neither of them are true. But what it shows to me is I didn't understand it, and I'm glad I didn't invest in it. Invest in things you understand, and if you don't understand, learn about them. Such an important rule. Really, this goes for all sorts of wisdom that you get, even wisdom from financial planners. Just to say this, I'm actually a fan of going to see a good quality financial planner, and you can get, there are good quality ones, but ask them about the products that they might sell. Oftentimes they'll sell you products that they themselves aren't interested in or don't even understand. Understand it. Get advice. Get around people that you can see have been successful. Get around a financial planner that is successful and it is trusted. I actually was speaking to a financial planner just this week about what it's like, and he said, you know what, oftentimes people are really embarrassed about coming to see me. He says, I have brain surgeons and I have doctors and lawyers and, people that we might expect are very intelligent. They're embarrassed about coming to see me because they sort of just assume they should be smart with their finances. But he says to them, listen, I don't pretend to be a doctor. So why don't you come and see someone who's good at what they do, that knows their stuff? There's nothing to be embarrassed about. So I would say be wise about seeing a financial planner, but certainly find a good one and see them. But the other thing you can do is find somebody that's been successful. I've got friends that I've watched be successful with the way they invest their wealth. I've talked to them. I've learned from them. I've gone out for coffee with them, and I'd say that one. Think about who can you go out for coffee with? Who can you invest some time into and just learn from the way that they invest in their own life? Sit down and listen to them. The other area is just reading books and journals and information. This is not talking about worshipping this thing called money, but it's just talking about understanding what God has given us. I mentioned Warren Buffett last week. Pretty sure he's still the wealthiest man in the world. If he's not, he's right up there. I noticed these came through recently, and here they are up on the screen. I'll read them out in case you can't read them. And he just has some excellent tips here on earning. Never depend on single income. Make investment to create a second income source. Great little tip on spending. If you buy things you do not need, soon you will have to sell things that you do need. Good tip on savings. Do not save what is left after spending, but spend what is left after saving. Great point. On taking risk, never test the depth of the river with both feet. What a cool point. On investment, do not put all your eggs in one basket. And on expectations, honesty is a very expensive gift. Do not expect it from cheap people. There's a guy that's had some experience in that regard. And I've saved that little picture for myself every now and again. I just have a look at it. It's just part of my learning and my understanding of investment. These are the sorts of things that you can do. So the second rule of investing is this: don't put all your eggs in one basket. Now, Warren Buffett just said that, but you know what? Warren Buffett actually got that from Scripture. Ecclesiastes 11:2 says, give portions to 7, yes to 8, for you do not know what disaster may come upon the land. In other words, spread it out, because anything can happen. You hear that time and time again in investing. Don't put it all in one thing. Spread it out amongst a lot of things. One thing falls apart and then you're in trouble. Dave Ramsey says it like this: investing's a lot like manure. If you put it all in one place, it starts to stink. But if you spread it out, it makes things grow. Pretty good, huh? And who would have thought you could learn from poo twice in one sermon, huh? There you go. Spread it out and it makes it better. The third lesson and the final thing that we're going to share about here today is maybe the most important, really important one to get our head around, and that's this: don't try to get rich quick. Don't try to get rich quick. 1 Timothy 6:9 tells us about those who really want to get rich quick. It says, people who want to get rich quick can fall into temptation and a trap and into many foolish and harmful desires that plunge men into ruin and destruction. You know, sometimes the best way to make money is simply to pull that money, out of your wallet, take the note out, double it up, put it back in your wallet and put it back in your pocket. If you do nothing else, do nothing. Sometimes it's better just to hold on to it. Don't be grabbed into a scheme that is all about instant finances. In my life, I'm seriously no great investor, and I have certainly had my failures as I've tried to work this one through, and failure will be a part of what happens as you invest. But I've had people say to me all sorts of things, and sometimes they can seem so appealing and so good. Just in recent times, I've had people talk about CFDs, which is, think, contract for difference. I know nothing about them, but people talk about them. They seem good. They seem like a sure thing. I've had people talk about investing in metals like gold and silver, these sorts of things. Again, they probably work for them, but for me, I don't understand them, so I've kept away from them. All sorts of different areas that you can invest in, people will talk to you about because they're experts in them. They understand them. If you want to invest in something, understand it. I had someone say to me last week, we talked about a managed fund. And that's a fairly standard way of investing your money. Basically, you give your money to someone else and they manage it for you. Now, I understand that one. I couldn't tell you what's a good managed fund. I can find places to look at it. But I had somebody come to me and say, I don't understand that. I don't understand how you would possibly get more than, say, 6 or 7% interest. They said, what I do is I use a term deposit, and a good quality term deposit. And I think, great, that's the whole point. Invest in things that you understand. Invest in things that you're happy with, that level of risk. So important. So don't try to get rich quick. And here's the deal, especially blokes, because we tend to want to be sprinters, We tend to want to have it happen so quick. We're like cavemen, we want to bring it home and Jess did the voice a little bit earlier, but sort of beat our chest, Say, look at this big bag of money, that I brought home. Look what I did, half an hour on the internet, I bought some shares, This is what I did. And we want to be sprinters when it comes to investment. We want it to happen right now, right away. Yet really we should be marathon runners when it comes to investment, to think a little bit differently. Not to be sprinters, literally marathon runner. A marathon runner is someone that's consistent. They're faithful. And then after that, we want to be consistent. We want to sow into this. And then we want to be faithful. And after that, we want to be consistent with our money. And after that, we want to be faithful. Why? Because that's how we invest. That's what will, over the long term, turn our heart from being about get rich quick to investing and using our money wisely. And I'll just say this for blokes here. It's one of the catches with the current craze of gambling ads that are on TV at the moment. Because really, they're all about get rich quick. And now we know that. But those ads are so clever. You watch what they do. They make it such a sure thing. Watching them at the moment, it's almost down to, Brisbane, or say, let's go with the Roosters. The Premiers are playing Parramatta, the Wooden Spooners. And if you bet on this and The Roosters don't win, we'll give you your money back. Have you seen these ads at the moment? If you bet and that actually doesn't happen, we'll give you your money back. Now, as a bloke, you can be sitting there thinking, that's like a no-brainer. But you know what? It's not. It's danger. The warning sign should be going off. Because really, what's going on is it's get rich quick. That's what's happening in this moment. It's really about sucking you in and drawing you in for the next thing. And that goes with any sort of gambling. And sometimes even the way we invest in the share market can be like gambling. We're thinking of this for the long term. Get rich quick has a lot of dangers around it. Here's what the scripture says. Proverbs 13:11. He who gathers money little by little makes it grow. Here's a really simple formula. I think you've got this on your notes as well. Money. Why don't we say this together? Money plus time, say time, plus consistency, say consistency, equals wealth. Money plus time plus consistency equals wealth. Little by little by little, little by little by little, we give to God. He blesses us. You know, that tithe is such a way of saying to God, God, you are first. If you're concerned about your heart, I would ask that question. Are you giving the first? It's always in the scripture. It's always about the first fruits. It's always about saying, first of all, I'll give to God. I'll trust him with my money. I'll trust him. I'll say, God, this money is not mine anyway. It belongs to you. So we give to God. We pay the expenses. We pay off the debt. We saw it in that AV. And then we begin to invest because we're not in bondage to money. We're not going to be strapped, the borrower. We're not going to be servant to the lender. We're not going to be like that, little by little. We've asked this a little bit over the last few weeks, and I often see it. But I wonder if you could think that you could save $5 a day. I mean, we could put hands up. I'm pretty sure most of us could say, if I did something extraordinary, I could save $5 a day. I just want to talk about that in terms of investment, just to open our eyes a little bit about what can happen here. I mean, maybe for you just need to give something up. A coffee, we've talked about that. You know, God can do amazing things in your life if you let go of that caffeine addiction, or if you find other ways of having that cup of coffee every day. What can you give up in your own life? So have a look at this. You could give up $5 a day. Let's see how this works. If you invested $5 a day at 12% interest, and we're talking over a long period of time, so we're picking 12%, fairly reasonable. At 5 years, you'd have $12,000. In 10 years, it's just the $5 a day, cup of coffee and a bicky at most. 10 years, you have $34,000. In 20 years, you'll have $150,000. In 30 years, over $500,000. In 40 years, if you did this from the age of 25 to 75, you'd have $1.7 million just by every single day saying, I will do this discipline of investing. If you do it from the age of 20 to 70, which would be fantastic, but if you did it, you'd have $5.8 million on $5 a day. You know, if you're young here today, man, you should be dancing in your seat right now or something, you know? Because it means that sort of wealth is available if you're willing to wait. I've had people come to me of older age groups and say, if only we had have known this stuff, if we only had have known the power of money to make money. This is what investment can do for you. Consistency over time can create wealth. Let me give you one more example here. If a 30-year-old makes $48,000 a year, it's actually below the average income in Australia. So if they make $48,000 a year, the only thing about this guy is we're going to assume he doesn't ever get a CPI increase. He just stays on the $48,000 a year. And say this guy invests 15% of his income, which is a good indicator of what we should be investing, putting away for the future. Now, here in Australia, by the way, Craig Rochelle talked about that 15%. Well, we already automatically have 9.25% of our income given away. So we get a head start. But perhaps you could make it up to that 15%. We give away 15% of our income into some sort of investment. Have a look at what happens. All right, $600 a month, I think that comes out to. And he does this Well, by the age of 70, at just 15% of his income or her income, you will have $7,058,863. Just by putting away 15% of your income, by starting to think different. That's why this stuff is important. I'm telling you, if you're young, if you're in your 20s and you're getting your super, begin to think different about your money. Now, I know what you're thinking. Some people are thinking, that percentage rate, 12%, that's impossible. We live in tough times. You're not going to get 12%. Okay, what if I'm half wrong? Think about that. What if it's half wrong? $3 million. Think about the difference that can make. $4 million. Think about the difference that can make, the things that you can do to the glory of God if you start to use money wisely now. Think about it. What we're really praying through this series is that you'll be good stewards of the money that God has given you. I pray every single one of us, I really do. I pray this church thrives because we're good stewards of the money that God has given us. But as we just end here today, let's not forget that money is not the only thing that we can invest in. Let's finish with this. If you look at Jesus, you don't see him talking about saving money for when he's older. What did Jesus do? He invested in people. Jesus took time out to invest in people, and I would challenge us with this. I've had people say, again over the last few weeks, we're doing okay in finances, but I understand this in other areas. What if I invested in my health? What if I invested in my marriage? What if I invested in my children? What if I invested in my education? If I understood the power of consistency over time building into my life. And this is what Jesus did. He built into the lives of other people. And I would pray, honestly, that we as a church would see the value of this, that we would see the deficiencies in our own life and we would give to those things. And I would really pray that God would pour blessing then into the marriages, into the children, into the health of people here, and into the finances of people here. And I guess maybe the final thing is this, that, if you do happen to get rich financially, always to remember it's not yours anyway. As we're followers of Jesus Christ, we understand it's for advancing his kingdom. It's for seeing his kingdom come on this earth. We get one shot at this life. And God would say, are you going to be a good steward of the money that I've given you? Does that mean you can never enjoy anything? Of course not. He's a Father in heaven. He loves to see us enjoy the things we have. But we see it, we hold it loosely. We find opportunities to be generous. When you give like this, you can even have opportunities to look for chances to say, I'm going to give to this, I'm going to give to that. Because it's not yours anyway. As God begins to bless you, you can be released in this lifetime. Let's pray together. God, once again, we just come before you and pray, God, for ourselves, that you would arrest us. God, that you would challenge our heart, Lord, if we've been sloppy in the area of our finances. God, that you would help us. Lord, that you would just help us with simply even things like our self-control, God. God, that fruit of the Spirit would be in our life, that planning would be in our life. God, that we would see and have the discipline to save money. God, that we would have the discipline to say no to things now so that we can have the thing that matters more to us. God, that we would even invest, God, and that as we're wise with the small things, God, you would trust us with a lot. Would pray that, God, let us not be in bondage to money. But God, I pray this in all areas of our life. Let us be people that see investment for what it is. Let us invest into lives of other people. God, let us invest into our children, into marriage, God. Lord, let us see the fruit that comes as we're consistent over time and see that value of faithfulness in our own life, we pray. Challenge us, God, and let us walk from this place again, challenged by what we can do. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.